Brothers and sisters, welcome back to the Behaviour Revolution. My name's Mark, and I've just been on the phone for the last couple of hours to Christopher and Victoria, and we've been sharing the week's experiences, things that have happened in their life with people they love, and things that have happened in my life this week with people I love. And we've been facing the demonic, facing what Yahusha is doing, the attacks coming upon us. And it is really a good idea to face that we are being attacked big time. And there's many reasons why we're being attacked. You can be being attacked because you have his name upon you, the true name of Yahusha and Yahuwah. But more importantly, the main attacks come when you start standing on his word in a situation. You may even be called to speak out something. But mainly it's about your behavior. Often it's just waiting and watching and observing all the consequences going on around us. And that is the saddest thing sometimes, if you're not in the right mindset, to watch. Because we want to step in there and we want to rescue people, don't we? Get in there and, stir things up and look at me, I can do this and I can do that. And you don't have to be, get in there. You're getting in Yahusha's way. When all we're called to do, a lot of the time, is stay in the surrounding protection, in the bubble of the tour zone, and keep walking, and watching all these things happening around us to people we love. And they're called consequences. The consequences of our actions. I've looked up the word consequences this morning because it keeps coming up in lots of different conversations. What does consequences mean? Just in the English dictionary, a consequence is a result or effect, typically one that is unwelcome and unpleasant. A result or an effect. If you have a certain behavior in a situation, you will get a certain result back. Some people call it karma. There's other new age things that you can call it. But the real thing is just consequences. And even if you've repented and come to Yahusha and you don't even have that lifestyle anymore, or behave like that, or treat people like that anymore, often there are still consequences that we have to live because of our old behavior. So we're all going through different consequences. However, if you face your part in the consequences, this is the place I've been brought to, it doesn't have to have power over you anymore. Because the thoughts, when they come at you, you can just dismiss them. And don't humour them. Don't entertain them. Don't listen to the thoughts that want to drag you into all these different intrigues and mysteries and what's going on here and what's going on there, and why did they say this and why did they do that, and why don't they say it on this, and why blah 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 blah. There's all this intrigue and mystery, and you're just talking to unclean spirits. The person that you're dealing with is not even there. It's not like you're talking to them. They don't know you're talking to them. You're talking to spirits. You're a crazy person. You're having this dialogue with unclean spirits. That's the state we're left in. If you face what you've done to somebody else and you're getting a consequence because of it, then you are free of that. You're free of it, So, then, as you keep walking, you're going to be watching other people going through consequences. And that's the best place to be in. Because if you stay in tour zone, if you don't put out anything that Yahusha doesn't want you to say or do or think, and if you strive to behave the right way inside yourself, controlling your vessel, don't go out and do this, don't go out and say this, don't go out on the Shabbat, don't spend money, don't do this, save your money, do this, do that, look at the future, don't judge people, all these things, all the principles that Scripture says, which can be summarized into 3 rules. Don't judge anybody, let them have it. Don't take what they say personally, because they're all crazy anyway. Let them have it. Don't take anything personally. Just love them. And if you need to speak into a situation, maybe with an angry voice, maybe with a kind voice, it's just a voice, you do it if Yahusha prods you to do that. And you will see other people going through the consequences and not you. And you need to stay out. Stay out. Because a consequence, do you want to be stirred up into the consequence as well? I don't. Had enough of those consequences. It's hideous watching what happens to people when they step back into the world. How could you possibly let go of Yahusha and walk back into the world? And yet we're surrounded by people. We've walked for many years with people who are now gone, walked back into the world. And it makes you wonder, what was really there to start with? What kind of seed, not what kind of seed, what kind of heart did the seed fall on? Nothing wrong with the seed. What kind of heart was there in the first place? Were they just humouring us? Did they really take Yahusha seriously? Well, that's not for us to judge, is it? See, now I'm getting into an intrigue again. It's best to let them all have it and wait and watch the consequences. Because, of course, the enemy says, oh, there's no consequences. Look at them. They're out there doing what they want, living how they want, having a good time. They don't need you. They don't need Yahusha. And that's a lie. Because if you step away from outside, if you step out of the tourist zone into the world, you will have the same wrath that the world has on it. It's only a matter of time. And we don't wish this upon anybody. You wouldn't wish Yahuwah's wrath on your worst enemies, but it's going to happen. That's just the reality of it. So consequences. Do you face that you are living in a consequence and that you can easily get out of it? Yahusha is your way out of every consequence. You might have to pay money, a certain amount of money each week because of a consequence. You might be paying something off because of a bad decision or a bad behaviour or a marriage breakup. There might be consequences, practical financial consequences, but as far as the emotional strain and the burden and the constant attack of the consequence, you don't have to have that. If you face what you did in a situation, instead of blaming another person and looking at their wrong and judging them, look at what you did in a situation. Look at how you really treated them. And you can come before Yahusha and repent of that, and you're free of it. Because anytime you repent of something, Yahusha takes it off you. It's gone. He throws it as far as the east is from the west. So if it ever comes back into your mind, would Yahusha be bringing it back into your mind? No, it's an unclean spirit pestering you, and you can easily get rid of that. Use Yahusha's name, and it will go. And you don't have to entertain any of that. And you can keep stepping one step at a time forward. Keep moving forward. Don't stumble. Don't faint. Just stand. Even if you're not taking a step forward, just stand your ground and wait. And don't crumble. Don't get into despair or desperation or depression. Because that's what the enemy wants for you in every situation of your life. To crumble and despair and essentially cut away from Yahusha's presence, his force, his ruach. And then you're just left lifeless and dead without power, and Satan's got you exactly where he wants you. So that's the power of consequences. The power of the consequences don't have to be upon us. Those consequences do not have to have any power over us. So I want to read you a little thing Christopher and Victoria wrote last week because it's all about the thoughts, whether they be worldly thoughts or Torah thoughts. And this, reading this and the circumstances that happened surrounding this, and having conversations with my darling, Therese, who I've met a few months ago, and we've been having a wonderful time, and she's now immersed herself. She's having a wonderful time in Yahusha, facing everything in her life and everybody in it and what's happening to her and the attacks and everything. She's on that pathway now, facing what's really going down, dealing with consequences and opening herself up to the inspiration of Yahusha and his love. And that's a pretty miraculous thing to see in somebody, isn't it? For all of us, it's amazing. So, I'll read this article for you. Sitting by the water, contemplating this. So Yahusha told them to send it to me because we were having discussions. Therese and I were having discussions about things. And then this word came in the middle of it, and it was totally amazing. When a man turns 20, the parents start hinting for him to leave the nest, to make his own life. We're thinking Yahusha is the same. Once you come to terms with being immersed and receiving the Spirit, we know that our food is the Word. It says by arresting every thought and checking it with Torah, we have guidance and protection by following the Word. If we don't do this, we go back to sleep. So it says, by arresting every thought, and checking it with Torah, we have guidance and protection by following the word. If we don't do this, we go back to sleep. How do you feel when you've gone back to sleep? Well, that's all the things I was talking about before. Lifeless, dead, depressed, in despair, listening to unclean spirits. You turn into a crazy person. But the word gives us light, so the darkness won't overcome us, rendering us unconscious. The word gives us light, so that the darkness won't overcome us, rendering us unconscious. Is that why you go to the word? Is it really your food? Is it really your sustenance? Is it really the light that keeps you alive? Or do you just read it to learn the stories and to see what head knowledge you can glean from it, see what you can work out to tell other people? Are you reading the scriptures for other people, to tell other people, to teach other people? You know? Or are you going there because it's your life? Without it, you feel dead. It's the only food that sustains you and makes you feel alive and amazing. That's the power of his words. The important part of life with Yahusha and proving our good worship, which is living Torah in our good thoughts, is by being active in the word. Let me read that again. The important part of life with Yahusha and proving our good worship, which is behaviour, living the Torah in our good thoughts, is being active in the word. That was so good, I'm going to do it again. The important part of life with Yahusha and proving our good worship, our good behaviour, living Torah in our good thoughts, not just fake, in our good thoughts, we have to be active in the word. Once a person leaves the nest, they start to be active. Thought behaviour towards the world will render us unconscious. Thought behaviour towards the world will render us unconscious. Start thinking and living and behaving and receiving what the world says and as truth, and you will go to sleep like they are. However, thought behaviour towards Yahusha will keep us awake and in the light. Thought behaviour towards Yahusha will keep us awake and in the light. That's what we all want, isn't it? There's a big difference in feeling when you're asleep and when you're awake. This is our growth and our experience. Love from Christopher and Victoria. They wrote that, they heard that. We just had a lunch with them at the beach, and they heard, as soon as we'd driven away, they heard this and wanted to give it to me. Because they knew Therese and I were having these conversations and discussions, we're going through all this stuff. I've been through a whole marriage breakup a year ago, and then the children have finally moved away, and so I'm dealing with that kind of loss, not seeing my children very often. Therese has had a similar thing happen in her life as well. Her children are about to go away on a holiday, and she hasn't never been without her children for a long time. So we're both dealing with a loss. And it's very easy to start getting into the anger and the judgments of the other person. But, and this is what we've been dealing with, consequences. If you face your consequences in a situation, you don't have to be upset. And when it comes to children, they will have an experience that Yahusha clearly is allowing them to have. Why? Because it's happening. So they will grow up one day and they will have to make up their own mind. I was in religion till I was 26, 27 years old. So, you know, we all want to protect our children and love our children and save them from any kind of hurt and despair and, you know, everything the world will do to them. However, they need to have those experiences. Otherwise, what use is there to come to Yahusha? Yahusha is our deliverance. That's what Yahusha means. Yahuwah is our deliverance. If you don't think there's anything to be delivered from in the world, and you've never tasted any of it, why would you want to be delivered? That would just be kind of religious, wouldn't it be? I just came into Yahusha because my parents were in Yahusha, and their parents were in... It's just religious spirit, isn't it? You've got to go out there in the world, and that's what young people do anyway. They've got to taste the world. Hopefully not too much, but they're going to taste it the way they're going to taste it. And we just have to be there to guide them and love them when they come back into our company. Not barrage them and hate on them and you know, judge them and make them feel horrible, but to be the light, because we have his word. We're in the Torah zone. What else can we do? They're going into consequences. ex-partners, ex-wives, ex-husbands, family members that have rejected Yahusha, even our own children maybe that have rejected Yahusha or are too young to know the difference yet. They're in the world and there's nothing we can do about it. So are we going to live every day depressed and in despair because of it? Or maybe even go so rude and blame Yahusha? No, we can't do that. Yahusha is perfect. We are living in the consequence of our behaviour and another person's behaviour and lots of other people's behaviour. But it's best for your freedom to pull out of your consequence. Make it right if you have to make it right. Mainly make it right with yourself and Yahusha. Because that's where the real attack comes in, as I was saying before. The real pestering, that stuff that won't let you sleep at night and you're playing back things over and over again in your mind. That, you can get rid of that. In the name of Yahusha, it's gone, if you've dealt with it. And then you can just be free to love and be used by Yahusha in whatever situation you are in your home, with your family, with your spouse, in your business. You've got clarity of thought. You're not bombarded and weighed down by past bitterness and regrets. That's how they live in the world. And we don't want to go into that, do we? Yeah? So I found this word that Christopher got from Yahusha amazing. Because it's all about thoughts. And everything comes down to thoughts. Our body only behaves the way our mind tells it to. And Hashatan knows if he can bombard us with thoughts, our body is just, behaving like a crazy person. We might be able to hold it together sometimes while we're doing work, but we're just fake. And being a fake person doesn't give you any satisfaction or joy in your life. We want to go beyond just sobriety. We want to be happy and joyous. That's the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace. Peace. Who wants peace of mind? Patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness, self-control. All these fruits that have to grow on this tree, on this branch. He is the vine, we are the branches, and our branches have to produce fruit. And that fruit comes forth by, initially when we get immersed, being rebuked and chastised and flogged and disciplined by Yahusha. And eventually we come through that and we don't want to step into those realms anymore because of the pain. The pain of not being in his presence. The pain of cutting ourselves off through our bad behaviour. So I want to leave you with that today, brothers and sisters. Keep going forward. Face what you have to face in a situation, because blaming other people, even though, it's blatantly obvious how crazy or nuts or whatever they may be, face yourself and how crazy and nuts you've been and how you really treated that person. Because everything's about people and relationships, You have to face how you treated people and then you move forward. And then after that, all the consequences going on around them is their own fault, isn't it? And you can just love them. But I just felt really inspired to tell you all this today, brothers and sisters, because it's been a relief on me dealing with exes and children and things like that, and the consequences. All right? So keep good thoughts. Good thoughts. All good thoughts come from Yahusha. He says, I send you as many thoughts as there are grains of sand on the seashore. My good thoughts towards you. Why don't we hear them all? Because we're too busy entertaining the world and the enemy, listening to all the lies. And we're missing out on all the good thoughts. My thoughts towards you are uplifting and true to give you hope, give you rest, give you peace, give you life, give you a future. That's his thoughts towards us. They're always good and uplifting. They make us feel alive. And they're as many as the grains of sand on the seashore. You never get to the end of them. Why aren't we tasting this, brothers and sisters? Good thoughts. Where's your mind at? Where is your mind at? What are you entertaining in your mind? Because this is just between you and Yahusha. I don't care what anybody else is saying. Teachers, preachers, pastors, rabbis, congregations. That's all BS and rubbish to me. This is between you and Yahusha. What you do with the word, how you behave it, whether you speak it, whether you shut up about it, this is all your personalized experience between you and Yahusha. So where is your mind at right now? See you later.